Welcome to WNL Sports Weekly. I'm Jeremy Franklin. This week we'll speak with Associate Athletic Director Elizabeth LeRose, women's basketball player Shelbi Hendricks, and women's swimming captain Caroline Hamp. But first, a quick look back at the weekend in Washington and Lee athletics. Men's track and field set 2 new school records at the Hilton Garden Invitational in Winston-Salem. Ian McDonald established a new program mark for the mile, while Jack Jones broke the indoor record in the 800 meters. On the women's side, Janie Fugate finishes the top Division III competitor with the season best time in the 400. Wrestling lost Centennial Conference matches to McDaniel and Ursinus, while men's basketball dropped a 72-69 decision to Bridgewater, and women's hoops fell 77-38 at Guilford. This Wednesday is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Washington and Lee will celebrate with several on-campus events early next week. With me in the studio to discuss the university's initiative is Associate Athletic Director Elizabeth LeRose. Elizabeth, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
As a former Washington and Lee student athlete and a current administrator, how do you view the opportunities that the university provides for female athletes here?
I think we do a really good job of trying to improve the opportunities. You know, again, our school being at one point all male to now we have 24 sports and half of them or so are women's. You know, I think we consciously try to put women first and try and improve. So we've come a long way.
You and I were in school together. We both graduated just over 10 years ago. How much has changed over the last decade?
There's been a lot of changes in the women's programs. When I was a student, or when we were students, field hockey became a varsity sport from the club status. And we recently added women's golf as a sport. And potentially there would be more sports added, you never know. But not only those things, but also SAC, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, 24, and the General's Leadership Academy offer great opportunities for our female athletes to be leaders on campus. Plus, the campus rec program is more robust than ever. I mean, I don't recall it ever really existing when we were students. So all those opportunities, I think, are great for our female student athletes.
Stepping off the Washington and Lee campus, you have also served as the senior woman administrator over at VMI. Last year, you helped coach the Rockbridge County High School girls basketball team. What's the climate like for women's and girls sports in the Lexington and Rockbridge area? It's
definitely up and coming. You know, there's more interest, and as the programs do better at the high school level and at the collegiate level, it sparks the interest of the youth. And so the RARO program is really important, and the coaches that they get involved there. And at the high school level, now they're able to play year-round, and so keeping those kids interested year-round to do things over the summer keeps them active and improving.
What is Washington and Lee doing to celebrate National Girls and Women in Sports Day?
It's really exciting. We have a lot going on, kind of tied into some other programs, but for us, on Monday the 9th, we're having an on-campus premiere of the You Can Play video, and tied in with that, we're bringing ESPN columnist Kate Fagan to give a talk, and we're excited about that. And she's she recently released a book, The Reappearing Act, and so she's bringing copies to kind of hand out to a limited number to anyone in attendance. And then Tuesday, we have former Associate Athletic Director, Class of '01, Shayna Levine, who's now the AD at Lewis and Clark College. She's coming to give a talk as part of the Entitled series for the Women in Gender Studies, and her talk is Women in Sport, Separate but Equal, and that's at 4 o'clock in the multi-purpose room in the Hillel House. And then following that, we're encouraging everyone to come over to the women's basketball game versus Randolph-Macon, which is a huge game for standing and seating for the ODAC tournament. We're going to honor all women in attendance, you know, both the youth and our own female athletes. So we're really excited and hope for a great turnout.
Elizabeth, great to speak with you. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Great, thank you.
I'm now joined by Shelbi Hendricks, junior women's basketball player from Louisville. Shelbi, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We've talked recently with your teammate Wesley Vick and one of your coaches, Pamela Findley, about the big turnaround on the court for Washington and Lee in 2014-15. How has the team's performance maybe raised expectations for what the Generals might be able to accomplish this season?
Well, coming in, you know, adding 5 new freshmen, you never know what's going to happen. And I think we were definitely faced with that at the beginning of the season. But we really came out to a hot start, and we've kept it going pretty much and up until now. And so it raised our expectations. There was no rebuilding year. This was kind of just the year that we were going to start out. So hopefully we can really pick back up what we were doing, the last few months and finish it out really strong.
You spent the fall as a rookie goalkeeper on the soccer team here. How did you end up playing that sport, and what was that experience like for you?
That was definitely a different experience for me. I don't have much soccer experience, actually, since my elementary school days, so it's been a while, but I talked to the coaches, and it just felt like the right thing to do for me at the time. And so it was a really, really great experience. That's a great program to be a part of, great coaching staff, great players, and just really a successful, fun experience for me.
Getting back to basketball, you spoke earlier about the 5 first-years who are on the team, and several of them have made some big contributions. Emily Perzik was a recent ODAC Player of the Week. Emma Redding was starting alongside you in the front court until her recent injury. Aylin Kelly's been playing some huge minutes as of late for WNL. What has the first-year class brought to the program?
The first years are so incredibly talented. You've mentioned Aylin and Emily and Emma, 2 posts and a shooter. We've got another shooter, Andrea Ferrero, out on the perimeter, and then another post player in Hayden Johnson. So we're seeing that they're coming in a lot, bringing a lot of talent with them, but they've bought in a lot too. So they've given us this extra depth on the bench, which has been really helpful, and they're able to contribute in meaningful ways for whatever we need that night. Someone's ready to step up.
February can be a tough time to be a student athlete at Washington and Lee. Academic commitments really start to pile up. What does the team need to do to stay sharp over the last few weeks of the regular season?
February is definitely a challenging time. You go into midterms, which is always just so much work and a lot of other things happening. So focusing on, really making sure that every day we get to practice, we're at practice and we're there just to play basketball. We can kind of use it as a break from all the schoolwork that we're thinking of outside. And then also we're lucky in the fact that midterms fall right before the ODAC tournament. So hopefully we can really push that schoolwork aside, get it all done, and then focus on ODACs when Feb break comes around.
Shelbi, thanks for joining us here. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Here with me in the studio is Caroline Hamp, senior swimming captain from Avon Lake, Ohio. Caroline, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Washington and Lee's had a great regular season. The Generals went 8-1 in dual meets. You won the ODAC relays and the Randolph-Macon Invitational. Do you feel like you guys are prepared for the upcoming ODAC championship?
We are absolutely prepared. This season has been above and beyond expectations. We've swum really fast, and I think our wins really prove just how hard we're working in the pool. Practice every single day. We get in, we get what needs to be done. And I think that all the work we've been doing over the last 5-6 months is really going to pay off. I'm excited to see how fast we'll swim.
Your activities at WNL have included serving as president of Neighbors Service League. You've been very active in Pi Beta Phi sorority and in Res Life. You were also inducted into Omicron Delta Kappa, the National Honor Society. How has attending a Division III school enabled you to pursue some of your interest outside of swimming and academics?
WNL really encourages people to get involved in things that they're passionate about, anything they want to get involved in, even if that means half a dozen things. And thankfully, Coach understands that we're not just swimmers, we're multifaceted people with tons of interests, and she wants to see you succeed outside of the pool as well. So my team and my coaching staff has really supported me in a lot of different endeavors, and I love being involved in a lot of different things. It helps actually take the pressure off swimming. If I have a few other things I'm also involved in, I'm not freaking out about swimming every day. But that doesn't mean it's not a priority. Swimming behind academics is still a #1 priority, and it has to be. That's why we're so good, is because we never make excuses. We always put swimming at the top of our extracurricular activity priorities.
When you came to Lexington, men's and women's swimming were still 2 separate teams. 2014-15 marks the 3rd year of the combined program under Coach Gardner. How has that transition benefited Washington and Lee swimming?
It's been a great transition. It's been pretty smooth, and I definitely consider us all a family. If you ask most students on campus, I think they would look to the swim team as great gender relations, and we're one of the closest teams on campus. We do everything together. We travel to meets together. We practice every day together, and that leads to things outside of the pool too, like studying together and having meals together. So when you spend that much time with a group of people, they become your backbone in your support system, and they challenge you too. Having the men side by side with the women all the time, the men push me in practice every day. They're mentally and physically challenging the women, but I think at the same time the women keep the men on their toes as well.
What are your expectations for the ODAC championship meet next week?
I'm really excited for ODACs. I'm also slightly terrified, but only because I have really high expectations going into this meet, and I definitely think we'll be able to meet them. I think we will be breaking a lot of pool and school and ODAC records. Maybe not pool records, school and ODAC records for sure. I think we can send a group to nationals, and I think we'll come out with a big win. So I'm really excited to see how fast we swim. And we usually taper pretty well as a team, but especially this year, after all the hard work we've put in, I just see us doing amazing things.
Caroline, thanks for joining us. Good luck down in Greensboro next week.
Thank you so much.
It's time now for a look at the upcoming weekend. Men's and women's track and field will travel to Ursinus for the Frank Colden Invitational. Back in Lexington, wrestling plays host to Centennial Conference foes NYU and Stevens, while men's basketball welcomes in 5th-ranked Randolph-Macon. Women's basketball visits Lynchburg, and baseball opens up the 2015 season with a doubleheader against Marymount at George Washington University. And riding resumes its schedule this weekend, competing in the Randolph-Lynchburg Invitational on Saturday and then heading to Sweetbriar on Sunday. For WNL Sports Weekly, I'm Jeremy Franklin. Thanks for watching.